Web3 is a combination of a few things. It's A, distributed web, B, blockchain, and then C, semantic web. All this is in the effort of providing censorship-free, censorship resistance. You can't take down one central point and then stop the whole internet. So I came from China. I live in China. So people all know that everything online is being censored. If you mention President Xi in any way, it's like 50 or 100 nicknames, it will get banned. It's incredibly important for this kind of technology to prevail in the future because it's not very easy to be banned by a centralized government.
All 100 of us, you've got friends here.
你知不知道？在不在？
我不知道。
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the IDK Show, hosted by Bu Zhi DAO. And we're, a bunch of really cool founders and builders and creators in the space. One of our major goals this year is to host Taipei Blockchain Week, one of the first global crypto conferences in Taiwan. Our speakers include People Pleaser, Kevin Lin, Tom Schmidt. Today I'm joined by Jenks Guo, who is one of our incredible speakers at Taipei Blockchain Week. At Filecoin, he helps developers become superhumans and has helped 500 plus tech startups with their strategies. Incredible. Maybe let's start with, what you do at Filecoin.
Hi, thank you, Sing. Glad to be here and super looking forward to Taipei Blockchain Week. I'm a developer advocate at Filecoin Foundation. Filecoin, as a blockchain network, intends to store humanity's most important data. And it's doing so by incentivizing a lot of data centers to come on board and build a very distributed storage network. One of the most fundamental function of the computer is to store files. In Web3, in the new kind of newly invented internet, that's one of the hardest problems to solve, and Filecoin intends to solve that. Now, my role can be called very different names. It's a very new role. I think maybe 10 or 20 years old only profession. Lots of people have a lot of confusions about it. It's called developer evangelist in some company. Sometimes it's called developer advocate. So that's my current title. Sometimes it's been called community engineers because it engages with the community most, and it's also technical. Sometimes it can be called tech community manager or tech community builders. I don't know if you know much about developers. Like typically they don't talk much. So it's a bit hard to find outgoing developers who like to talk about their job and talk about technology. So my role there is to teach developer audience or any company or small project that is trying to use Filecoin or IPFS technology. Typically a good, very good developer advocate, I'm still getting there, should be an influencer in the technical community or developer community. And they need to have enough community skills to actually grow the community bigger or build the community bigger. Some famous developer advocates are Guy Kawasaki. I think that's his last name. I think he used to be the product evangelist of Apple. And he ever since helped a lot of other companies to evangelize their products. Another one that I look up to is Kelsey Hightower. He's currently the developer advocate for Kubernetes, Google's product. He's done a very good job, delivered many spectacular demonstrations on developer conferences.
Yeah, that was an amazing introduction. And you're totally right in that DevRel wears many hats, like you said, right? There's something a little different to every different partner. I love talking about this actually, because I'm working on something similar at where I work, and I build developer communities. I love being in this field, so very excited to see and hear about what you do as well. Guy Kawasaki is also one of the first people I followed on LinkedIn, and I like reading his posts a lot too. I'm going to look into Kelsey Hightower next.
This piece of writing on the internet, it says a good DevRel person is very special because it needs to play many roles. It's like a glue of different departments in the company. So to the internal development team, they're the product marketers. But to the marketing team, they're the tech gurus or they're the development team. But to product managers, they know the user's demand. And to developer communities, they are passionate influencers. To technical partners or to partners of the company or product or platform, they're experienced consultant. And to commercial partners, they understand the business model. And to everyone else, they're always at the frontier of new technology and always learning. So that's been the kind of the thing that I'm aiming for, to be a good developer advocate. I'm trying to play my roles well in all aspects.
I actually get a lot of questions like, what do people do at developer relations? How do I get started? I read an article that you wrote called "Stop Working as If You Have 1,000 Years Left," which kind of talked about how you took your next step from one role to another. So maybe we can talk about that. How did you get to developer relations at Filecoin?
In short, how I got here is follow my interests. So I like many people, after I graduated from electronics engineering, I thought I was going to be an electronics engineer. But I realized there's very little manufacturing industry in Australia where I live. Where I ended up was actually in telecommunications. So I worked for Ericsson for 3.5 years. I learned important skills when I worked in data centers. I built my own system. I worked with a lot of Indian engineers to deliver wonderful services and customized product for the customers. But something wasn't just satisfying over there. So I did something that later found that there was some kind of a science behind it. It was called Holland's Code. Their idea is that you shouldn't force yourself into a job. You shouldn't change yourself for a job, which often people tend to do. Like, I need to be better at this, therefore I need to change myself for that. It's incredibly hard to change yourself. So what you need to do instead is find out your strengths, what makes you more energetic, what makes you less energetic, and follow your heart from there and find another job. It's easier to change the job. It's really hard to change yourself. So what I ended up doing is actually looking for new jobs, and that's how I found a developer evangelist job in a SaaS company called Xero. They do accounting softwares. For a product company to go into platform company, they invested millions or tens of millions of dollars for a few years to get to that stage. And I was hired to onboard partners. I was hired as a human face for their developer products. And I was there to actually grow the ecosystem bigger by meeting people and going through processes. Then after 3.5 years, I think I was there for 3.5 years, I started to look for more responsibility in my job. That's when I decided to switch to a smaller company called Linktree.
So Linktree, yeah, it's a small company, but everybody uses it.
When I was there, I think it was about 20 million users. You have a lot of different requests, right? How do I get my Twitter feed actually shown on Linktree, right? As a widget, open up. How do I flash my NFT on it? How do I, I'm a video influencer. I want my video up in front on it, and then people can interact with it. How do I take payment from Linktree without people going to another company to register accounts and all that? More than 200 companies that are trying to build integrations with Linktree, but Linktree couldn't build it fast enough. Because if you build it yourself, you're going to hire a team of a few thousand to build all of them, and it's still not going to be able to meet the demand. So the solution is actually what Xero has done, turn the product company into a platform company. So I was hired by Linktree to fast track that transformation. So with my experience I learned from Xero and my experience in the developer ecosystem, building developer tools, I was able to consult and advise Linktree on this transformation. Towards the end of it, I also led the project to integrate Linktree to Web3, verify NFT profile and verify background over there. So I led some agencies to do that kind of work. That was my first experience with Web3. So from that, I was pretty fascinated by the topic of it. When Filecoin recruiters reached out to me, that I took the opportunity to go ahead.
Yeah, amazing. You had just built a Web3 integration at Linktree, so that's very cool. We talked about kind of the fragmentation of the internet. So how does Filecoin relate to that? I know you guys are building a lot of data infrastructure, as well as a couple of different things like Saturn, censorship resistance.
I think what Web3 is, and this is what I have learned from Protocol Labs, really smart research engineers. Web3 is a combination of a few things. It's A, distributed web, B, blockchain, and then C, semantic web. So distributed web means all the nodes, all the participants on the internet, imagine all of the computers connected to the internet needs to be equal participants. They need to be able to work offline. So if parts of it gets cut off from the main internet, it shouldn't stop working. Like right now, if you're getting cut off from your internet provider, you stop working. It should be faster. We don't want a slower internet, and the next version should be faster. It should be safer. We don't want a less secure internet. We need to get rid of central point of coordination, because that's where the fragility come from. And then there's concept of permanent links. Why should the URL disappear, right? Why should the server go off and then we no longer have access to that link? And this is one of the problem that IPFS and Filecoin is trying to solve right now. And the second part is blockchain. So blockchain, if we think of distributed web is distributing the physical medium of the internet, then blockchain is the software layer or the consensus layer of that we're trying to decentralize. So without having a single authority to trust, like a government or a company to trust, how do we distribute those rights to every single one of them? And that's through the technology called blockchain. So it allows publicly verifiable information on chain. Everyone can trust the information. It promotes a permissionless entry, so anyone can participate as long as they follow certain rules. And there's also usually incentive alignment there. So if you're doing the right thing in the network, you get rewarded. If you're doing wrong things, you get punished from the network automatically. There's no one to decide on those things. There's no justice system. It's just everything in the code as a law. And then there's this wonderful thinking of semantic web. There's a lot of data silos that we create right now. Your picture on Facebook is not available on Twitter right away. You still have to upload it. So all the information that's siloed, but they're actually the same object, right? Imagine a web that understands all of the different objects and they just keep one record of a certain thing. A city, Taipei, will be just the city, right? You don't need to copy like 1 million copy of it, and computers still don't understand it. The computer should be able to understand the meaning of things on the internet. So that's what Web3, I think, is. It's a combination of all these. Where IPFS comes in is to provide the distributed web layer. So IPFS stands for InterPlanetary File System. Most of our file system, you tell it where to find the file, and on the internet, you tell it which address it is, like google.com, which gets translated to an IP address, which is the location of the server. And then you specify which file you want to request from it. So that's essentially centralized because you're looking for a single location. If the stuff is not there, you won't be able to get it. But IPFS is different. IPFS, instead of asking the system where the file is, you ask the system, hey, I would like to have that file. So you are asking by what it is rather than where it is. We do that through a technology called Content ID or CID. So when the file gets uploaded, it automatically generates a fingerprint, which is a random hash function string of the file. And then instead of asking the location, you ask for this string, and this string is an ID of the file. So that means like the system will not care where the file is as long as it routes through a peer-to-peer system and find and save it. You are able to have that content. Imagine we have colonized Mars and we need to have internet completely duplicated on the other end. The current model, client-server model, doesn't work over long distance, but IPFS should work fine because it should be able to cache most of the internet that people ask for on another planet, and only request the parts that are missing from Earth.
Okay, interplanetary just clicked for me.
Yeah, we're serious about this. All of our swags are space themed. Yeah, we're giving out like space corgi dogs in a stuffed animal in space suits, and we had like astronaut helmets and gloves and all that in our stand in Web Summit. It was amazing.
Like I always just thought interplanetary. I mean, I knew the word. I just never thought that deeply about like literally you guys mean planet to planet. Wow, incredible.
Yeah. And I'll tell you one more thing, which is what the Consensus Lab is working on. So within Protocol Labs, there are a lot of different departments working on different things. There are people working on tokenomics. There are people working on libp2p, which is a peer-to-peer Web3 communication protocol. There's a random number generator project called DRAND. There's so many of these projects around, but one of the coolest one is Consensus Lab. They're working on next generation consensus model. So we all know that different chains have their own way of achieving consensus, because distributed computer means that you could have adversary in the network that try to not necessarily deliberately taking it down, but they just out of sync or they have the wrong information. To be able to achieve this kind of consensus on the same planet is actually relatively easy. If we are trying to do that cross planet in solar system, it's very hard. So these people are actually working on interplanetary consensus mechanism. It's super cool. There are more projects like that, but a couple of more I would like to highlight is Filecoin virtual machines. Filecoin always is trying to be the storage marketplace. So think of it like an Airbnb for hard drives. And we haven't been opening up the kind of the ecosystem for other developers to build on top of our chain. And FVM, Filecoin virtual machine, like EVM, is going to open that layer up so people can build on top of Filecoin and have some really interesting way of providing storage, or have layer 2 or DeFi projects going on in the future. Another thing that I want to mention is Saturn. You mentioned launch of Saturn. That was quite a good launch. So Filecoin is really good at saving things, and to retrieve it, it's always been a bit hard. The analogy I use is Filecoin is for cold storage, and cold storage is like a freezer. When you put things in, it takes time to freeze, and when you take things out, it needs to defrost a little bit as well. So faster retrieval actually touches on a very hard problem to solve, which is a CDN network. I mentioned XML outage in the future. The CDN business is also a very centralized business. To do that in a decentralized way, it's very challenging. And Saturn is one of the first network that's achieved this decentralized CDN on Filecoin and IPFS. So with Saturn, you can be a CDN node, or anyone can turn on their laptop and start to help with the retrieval of files from Filecoin network and IPFS network, and then you can get paid for it. So all this is in the effort of providing censorship-free, censorship-resistance technology to the Web3. So we mentioned work offline, right? No central point of coordination. So that means you can't take down, as a country who wants to block the internet, you can't take down one central point and then stop the whole internet. So I came from China. I live in China. So people all know that everything online is being censored. If you mention President Xi in any way, it's like 50 or 100 nicknames, it will get banned. It's incredibly important for this kind of technology to prevail in the future, because it's not very easy to be banned by a centralized government.
We're definitely seeing a lot of that, like Twitter, for example. Governments are a very great example. You guys just had a couple events at Web Summit. I'm curious about kind of what you're building there, the goals for kind of providing these hacker houses.
We actually call it hacker base to differentiate ourselves from other projects. Some call hacker house, some call hacker just a house there for people to drop in and drop off. We do a lot of events and run quite a bit of conferences around the world. One of the problems that we see is there's no good co-working space when people got there, and then they kind of hop between conferences. What we want to do is provide a long running alongside all of the main events and side events, have a common place for people to co-work and really sit down, talk, have a small meetings, or have drop-in meetings, or have like a casual meetup or some happy hours, drinks in there, and in a very relaxed environment to spark innovation. The intention of the last one in Lisbon was to just create a co-working place for people. It was a really beautiful venue. We partner up with one of the best agencies in Lisbon, and also Lightshift Capital and Fission, which is the ecosystem, one of the software companies in the ecosystem. Together, we've invited about 12 different teams to host events there, and then we also use the rest of the time to just get people to work on different things. It's a beautiful garage style warehouse with a beautiful stage at the front. Seats about 30 people. Rest of the places have really comfortable long benches and chairs. And we had a pinball machine. We had a arcade machine. We had a fully automatic coffee machine that runs 24/7. It even has Irish coffee on it. This is Europe, so I love how liberal people with alcohol there. And then we had snacks and beer kegs there for people to relax. And once you step out of the door, it's actually right next to a Lisbon pier, so you can see all the shipping ships with containers go in and out, and it's very open space. It's beautiful.
Incredible. I love that. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things about being in this space, the collaborative nature, but also just just the these spaces exist, you know?
And it's open to everyone. Like people
Exactly,
can come
right?
jump in and out. You don't even prove you need to be in. You're in Web3 to go in. That's the idea of it. We want you to come and learn, engage with different people. One thing happened at Hackerbase I forgot to mention was a chess tournament. So Web3 chess was the thing.
Is it on-chain chess? Was it a project about?
I wish, but that's a good idea. I'll tell people that next time. We're trying to make it even cooler next time. So thank you for that idea.
Yeah, that's super cool. We should definitely do that here as well for ours. I was just in Europe a few months ago, but that's definitely something that I saw too. I stopped by like 3 or 4 different kind of hacker houses, conferences, and it was all, like you said, very collaborative. I met people that I wouldn't have had the chance to meet because one, maybe we're working on different projects, but also completely different industries. But there's always something to learn from someone else. I want to start wrapping this up with, how can people get into DevRel?
I think DevRel is no magic, right? Prior experience is probably needed by most job roles, but you can get those experience by getting involved in the community voluntarily as well, and start to tweet a lot, start to produce, write some articles, help contribute to different projects, docs like technical documentation, and also produce some videos yourself and apply to speak at conferences. Those experiences will instantly justify you for any DevRel role. I would like to use Kelsey Hightower's as one of his interviews. He talked about the DevRel magic, and he says there's no magic. You just show people a good experience you had with technology and demonstrate this on stage. I think that's incredibly true. A lot of people are getting stressed about being a better developer. Oh, I need to use best practice or whatever. Most people just want something pleasant to watch on stage, and as long as you can show your your love to the technology, no matter how bad the practice is, it's okay. People will always figure out a better way to do it. You just don't be shy and show it. Public speaking is fun. I used to be afraid of it, but since I became a developer evangelist, I really went hard on public speaking training. I was even at the Toastmaster for a couple of years. Still get nervous before I go on it, but I enjoy the thrill and the satisfaction after that. So I highly encourage you to start getting engaged in the community, whatever you find interesting, get the experience, and then show off your love for the technology. Now, I want to say to all the DevRel people who are in Web2 or Web3 and a little bit Web3 curious, is Web3 takes DevRel to a different level, right? So I mentioned a lot of companies wants to transform from product company to platform companies, and then you spend a lot of resources building platform tools and attract a community and build a community. Web3 does it really differently. Web3 finds the community first, and community is your asset. Before you even build the product, you find the community itself, sell your concept, sell your white paper, light paper, whatever, to the community, and then the community is your asset because you're going to raise money from there. They're your supporter, they're your partners, they're your everything. So DevRel is more important in Web3 organizations. People see the value of DevRel from day one.
Ties back to follow your passion and your interests, right? You're going towards this position because there's an interest to it. So why not just show the rest of the world? So I love that. Definitely something we're trying to do here as well, right? With this podcast, trying to showcase what people are passionate about, but then also at Taipei Blockchain Week. So very excited to have you there. Would love to learn more from you. How can people reach out to you if they want to talk to you?
Oh, my handle is consistent, Jenks Guo. Jenks is a very weird name for Chinese, but combine it with my last name, I have the best SEO. So just search Jenks Guo. You will find my Twitter, Linktree, and also I'm on Telegram a lot. So Jenks Guo, JenksGuo.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and see you soon in December.
Thank you, Sin. Looking forward to be there.